snowing. It is raining the hardest it's ever rained. Everyone looks miserable and wet and cold and wants to get out of town. Holy shit! Okay, so before we go on this adventure together, I want to ask those that are watching right now, have you ever put in so much effort into planning an epic adventure and it absolutely, completely fails? If you are one of those people, please leave me a comment below because we cannot be the only ones that this has happened to. We started planning this trip way back in March when we were still in Mexico, and we had no idea what Mother Nature had in store for us. So in this video, I'm going to share with you our not so Salkantay Trek and the mistakes we made that ended our trip early. And we're going to start with number 1, and that is never underestimate Mother Nature, no matter what season you're in. So, best place to start is at the beginning. Good morning, guys. It is finally here. It is day 1 of our Salkantay Trek, and it rained all last night, so everything is soaked. We are staying at the cutest little hotel. It's called Tilcafe. The hosts are great, Rachel and Alejandra. They are absolutely wonderful. It is about 50 degrees today. Good morning, Alejandra. Good morning. And it rained last night. So yeah, everything is soaking wet. It is calling for rain for the next couple of days. And hopefully on our second day, that is going to be our longest trek. So I'm hoping that the skies will clear and it'll be better weather. But we're going to have to put up for the rain for a little bit. We are just heading to breakfast. It's 7:30 this morning. We're going to catch a taxi to Salkantay, where the Salkantay Trek begins. But first, we're going to rewind a day and show you how we got here. Now, typically, the Salkantay Trek starts in Salkantay, and most rides from Cusco leave bright and early in the morning to get you started on the trek at a reasonable time. On your first day, you'll hike to Salkantay in the morning, have lunch at your accommodations, and then muster up the energy to hike to Humantay Lake in the afternoon. And then you'll come back, have dinner, and rest up for 21 kilometers on day 2. We booked this great B&B in Mollepata the night before, so we didn't have to get up at 4 a.m., take a 3-hour bus ride, and then trek 6 or 7 hours. We decided to hire a taxi on the Uber app from Cusco to Mollepata, which costs about 108 sols, or about 39 Canadian, and it took 3.5 hours to get there. When we arrived in Mollepata, it was around 3:30 in the afternoon, and we were hungry. So after we checked in, our host, Rachel, escorted us to this great little place to have lunch. After lunch, we strolled around for a bit. It was so quiet, it felt like we were the only tourists in town. We met these cute little locals, and they loved watching Jay fly the drone. Alrighty, so now we're just waiting for our taxi. Rachel called us a taxi, such a sweet thing to do for us. And I gotta explain the sleeping situation because we are so not used to being in a hotel or an Airbnb without any heat. So it's kind of like when it was raining last night, it was kind of like you were camping, but you were in a hotel room because you still get the cold and you can still feel the damp in the air. But oh, our taxi's here. Just an odd experience. Busy this morning. We good? This is our taxi. We packed up our backpacks, said goodbye to Rachel, and we were soon on our way. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, gracias. Just our luck, it started to rain, which made the roads very slick and muddy, and about an hour later, we arrived at the Humantay property. Jay went and paid the entrance fee, which was 20 sols per person. Then we were off again. Finally, we made it to the beginning of our 4-day Salkantay Trek. Oh, let the fun begin. You'll notice in the video how much our clothing changes during the trek. This was because the weather was all over the place. At one point, we were hiking in t-shirts because it was so warm, and we didn't want to sweat through the clothes too badly. That brings me to mistake number 2. Believe people when they say you need moisture-wicking clothing. We're starting, this is it. For reals. Then we have to watch out for traffic, apparently. Like I said earlier, it rained all night, so Mother Nature's gonna test it. It's gonna be muddy and wet. It stopped raining for now.
but here we go. Okay, so from the beginning of the trek, we are going to trek 3 hours into Salkantay, and then we are going to check into our accommodations, drop all of our stuff, only bring like probably one backpack to a 1.5 hour trek to Humante Lake, and then 1.5 hours back to our camp to have dinner and just chill for our big day on day 2. Okay, so you got to keep in mind that we are complete newbies at trekking. So we are doing this trek independently. We started walking up on the road and a van passed us and he's like, up, like we were going the wrong way. So we found a trail, but the sun has started to like peek out. So we're going to try and drone when we can because I'm not sure exactly with the weather how it's going to be. So these clouds are amazing in the mountains. Unbelievable. And we just started. It's like 5 minutes in.
Droning would definitely prove to be a challenge in this weather. It was so unpredictable. The weather that we had made for amazing views, and we felt like we were in a cloud forest. It was pretty cool.
So we just took a little break. I want to say I'm powering through, but I'm dying because it was all uphill for the first 1 kilometer. Now we're on a little bit of a downward trajectory, which is so much better. So it started to rain, hence the rain jackets. These views are just amazing.
Rain's no fun, but
At least it's not pouring. Like, look at these lupins. At least I'm pretty sure that's what they're called. It's what they look like from back home. So pretty. Wow. Amazing!
Not only were the mountains amazing, but the lush landscapes along the path were spectacular. All the flowers, the moss-covered trees, the water crossings made you feel like you're in a totally different world.
There's definitely a lot of horse manure on this trail. And I totally get it because the first kilometer was uphill and I was dying and I was like, oh, where's the horses? I want to take a horse. But it's all about challenges, challenging yourself, pushing your limits a little bit. Feels good though. Flat terrain. Saves the day. I love it. If it weren't an overcast and rainy day, we'd have epic mountain views. But we have mountain views, but the clouds are like in the low-lying valleys. It is stunning. Like, check this out. It's amazing.
welcome to Avatar, bitches.
Look at this.
An aqueduct. Got an aqueduct feeding river
Wow.
glacier water down to the people.
That's awesome. So there's this aqueduct here, and I think it's supposed to have like a little area where you can walk actually over it, but we have to walk beside it. So for the next like kilometer, this is what it's gonna look like. So I have to put my camera away and focus, not falling off the edge.
About 2.5 hours into the trek, we could see campsites off in the distance, and we soon realized we had finally made it to our accommodations for the night.
Oh, Refugio Nacho! Hey!
That's us. That makes it for sure.
There it is! Awesome. It's just pretty steep. It's down there somewhere. See all those vans down there? Even though we're hiking independently, we're not really hiking independently.
Over the next 24 hours, we would soon realize that the main dining area of this accommodation was their actual home that they had just set up for big tour groups. Before we arrived, they were busy preparing us lunch with the other tour groups that were staying there. Luckily, Mama was a good cook. There was no complaints.
Hot tea, and there's like, I don't know if it's tea or what, but there's like this little plant inside the tea
That they just cut off of.
that they just, I don't know. Doesn't taste bad.
I think it just
Brown sugar in it, so we made it to our first accommodation. First goal down. We did the trek in 2.5 hours.
I don't know if that's good.
I don't know if that's good, unless Jay says. Who knows?
The tour groups were behind us and they left ahead of us.
Yeah.
Yes, we did all right.
It's still raining outside. It's kind of like on and off rain. It's spitting, so hopefully we'll get some lunch before we head to Humanité Lake, and hopefully the weather will cooperate just a little bit. But our room is very basic. It's just a room with a private shower, but we have like a double bed and a single bed, which is fine. The beds feel comfortable. There's lots of sheets because there's no heat. I'm still getting used to the no heat things, like you're camping, but you're actually like in like a little hotel room kind of. But the best part about Refugio Nacho is when we first came, they have this whole case of like chocolate bars. We're gonna be diving into that.
On the lunch menu, it was cream of vegetable soup and beef stir fry with rice and french fries. It was delicious. Little did we know we would need all the energy we could get to hike Humanité Lake.
Okay, we are starting the trek to Humanité Lake after lunch. Oh, Jay's just checking our map. We downloaded a free trial of All Trails because we're doing this independently, just to have a little trail to follow, just in case you never know, but we're definitely not alone here. Well, there's plenty of horses, just in case you can't make it. It's always a great option. There's so many of them. Wow. Donkeys and horses. They're so cute. The rain has subsided a little bit. The sun feels like it's gonna try and come out. It's a little bit bright, but I don't know. It's not raining yet. It was spitting, but oh, this is a gradual, slow uphill for 1.5 hours.
Whew. Yeah, if only it stayed a slight incline to the lake. It later turned into a steep climb that I'm not sure my heart was ready for. Before we got to what I feel was the real beginning of the hike, we took advantage of the weather and launched the drone, which we didn't realize would be our last opportunity of the day and for the rest of the trip.
can't even wrap my mind around this landscape. Like, it feels like you're so tiny. You have big green mountains, and then off in the distance, right in front of us, it is gigantuous and it's beautiful. Wow. Like, can you see that behind me? Like, unreal. And these little dome tents are an option for you to stay. They're a little bit more expensive to stay. And just the grounds here look very, very beautiful. But it feels like when we were walking across the water earlier, it felt like we were just walking in a farmer's field, like just strolling along, enjoying our little walk. Wow. Unbelievable. Oh, yeah. Look at the clouds in the mountains.
When we arrived at the Serapompe sign, I feel like this is when the hike got real. There were beautiful water crossings and landscapes all around us. So many horses grazing in the pasture. It was beautiful.
All the way up there. Whew. Honestly, it makes me tired just looking at it. But here we go.
Looking back and knowing what I know now, I think we should have skipped Humante Lake because we were not prepared for what Mother Nature had in store for us for the next 3 hours.
We are literally walking through a ranch right now. Private property with horses. This is unbelievable. Wow. This is steep. I just stepped in horsey poop. Gross.
It's recycled grass.
Yeah. Oh, goodness. Maybe we're... I know.
Slow and steady.
That's all you can do. I can't believe how much the weather has changed just coming up the hill. Like, we're going to be walking into the clouds. When we started, when Jay was droning earlier, you could see like the snow-capped mountains. And now the fog is just so low. The clouds are just so low. You can't see anything. This was one of my biggest fears about going to Machu Picchu and Humanité. At least it's not raining, but will we be able to see it? That is the question.
It's been like sunny and mild and in the 60s the whole time we've been here. And then for the next week, starting yesterday, it's calling for cooler temperatures and rain while we're doing this Salkantay Trek. We're gonna see it differently than a lot of people have seen it. So many videos. It's beautiful, sunny, bright. It's still absolutely incredibly stunning. Like, it's incredible to see. So
Yeah.
the clouds just add such a mystic, ominous.
Yeah, it does. It does.
feeling to it. Like, there's the peak coming through.
Yeah. See that way up there?
You don't see that when it's sunny.
Yeah. All right.
We'll make the best of it.
Let's carry on. Carry on. As Jay would say, just keep swimming, just keep swimming.
That's right.
We can do it.
We took many breaks up the hill, more breaks than I thought we would actually need. The trek to Humante Lake is no joke.
Remember earlier when I pointed and said, yeah, we got to go way up there? I lied. We got to go way up there. And it's raining, it's cold, we're sweaty. Whew. We're gonna keep trudging on.
Which brings me to mistake number 3, not having full rain gear. Even though we thought our gear was waterproof, turned out it wasn't. And I know you're probably thinking those are the obvious things to bring, but in all the research we did, the chances of us needing rain gear were very slim. Later, you'll find out why needing rain gear was so important.
At the top.
There better be a stinking lake over there.
Nope. Just kidding.
And just when we thought we reached the top, nope. These hikers were thinking the exact same thing, but the trail just got steeper and steeper.
I still don't see a laguna. Oh, goodness.
Then we finally got a real glimpse of the mountains of Humante Lake.
Oh my God. Oh, wow. Holy shit. Oh my God. It is raining the hardest it's ever rained. Everyone looks miserable and wet and cold and wants to get out of town. I swore so much coming up this hill. If I would have posted it, this video probably would have been demonetized. The views, even with the rain, are so spectacular. You can see the snow on the mountains and it's just unbelievable. But we are gonna make the trek down because it's still raining. I don't know if it's gonna let up, and it is slick on the way up, so it's gonna be slick on the way down. I haven't recorded much because I'm concentrating on going downhill in this sludgy mess. Conditions are shit! But can't always be perfect when you travel or do adventurous things, as long as they're not crazy dangerous. My phone is probably frozen. But we are back, not at the beginning, but where we started to actually hike up to Humante Lake. And hasn't quit raining. I think it's gotten a little bit harder rain. It's cold.
It's miserable.
It's miserable. Not gonna lie. This is the reality. This is Instagram versus reality.
Once we got back to our accommodations and changed out of our wet clothes, we were so ready for a hot meal. It was delicious. Our fourth mistake was we didn't realize just how basic our accommodations were. There was absolutely nowhere to dry clothes, which would be our biggest dilemma on day 2. We ended up MacGyvering a clothesline out of things we brought, but it didn't help at all. Today, we did a total of, I think it was 2.5 hours from where we got dropped off at Colacancha to Refugio Nacho. And the first 1 kilometer almost killed me. Couldn't get my breathing right. Oh my God, it was very steep. Once we kind of leveled off a little bit, it was smooth sailing all the way here, not a problem. Then we came to Refugio Nacho where we were staying. We had lunch with the other group that's here. And then we decided to take the trek to Humante Lake. And it was we started at 1, we got back at 4:30. And the elevation we reached was 13,790 feet above sea level. And it was uphill and steep. And we stopped. I don't know. I took a knee. I don't know how many times. I sat on a rock, tried to catch my breath with a lot of other people too. But halfway through up the hill, we were contemplating, okay, it's rainy. You can't see anything. Is it really going to be worth it? And what we did see of Humante Lake was beautiful. And I can only imagine what it would be like on a nice sunny day. It would have been spectacular, even more so than it was today. But tomorrow we are doing the Salkantay Pass, and day 2 is the hardest day, and it is calling for rain again, and it's going to be cold, and it's a 10-hour hike. I don't even know if my body is going to be able to process a 10-hour hike with a 3-hour, probably double what we did, if not triple what we did going to Humante Lake today. We seriously considered canceling all our reservations and booking it for another time because we're still going to be in Peru for another month or so. But this is definitely a challenge for us. It's not an easy go.
And we're going to stick it out. We're going to try to complete the Salkantay Pass tomorrow. And there are horses and donkeys to hire. We might, because we have our gear with us. When we're doing it independently, you are wearing all of your gear. Definitely feel it walking in the elevation. Just a little bit of the extra weight on your body, and you're sweating, so you're getting wet, and it's cold. So you really have to like layer up and figure out what works and what doesn't. But if we can't hike with our packs, we had considered hiring a horse just to take our packs to the Salkantay hostel where we're staying tomorrow night. But right now it is early. We are going to bed because tomorrow is going to be a bright and early start. Jay just came in with some good news and some bad news, and he asked me what I wanted first, and I said the bad news. Tomorrow breakfast is going to be at 6, so we have to get up at 5:30. There's no if, ands, or buts. That's the way it was going to be. We were going to sleep in just a smidgen, but nope. And he said the good news is we get these hot water bottles to sleep with. I am so happy for this hot water bottle. Oh, I can't wait. Okay, we'll see you on day 2. Night. We actually had a good night's sleep. 5 blankets, a thick duvet, and a hot water bottle did the trick. But come 5:30 a.m., we didn't want to leave our bed. The air was damp and it was so cold you could see your breath. But we mustered up the courage, packed up all our gear, knowing we had a 21-kilometer hike in front of us. We set out for breakfast, and then this happened. It's snowing. We're taking the high ground. Oy. Since my boots were soaked from the hike to Humante, I'm wearing sandals and socks, trudging through the snow just to make it to breakfast. As we sat through breakfast, we contemplated every angle. Do we do the hike? Do we not do the hike? And we were just in disbelief that we were faced with snow. Hey, I know, we're Canadians, we should like snow. But since most of our gear was wet from the hike to Humante Lake, that was the deciding factor just to abort the Salkantay Trek and head back to Cusco. We ended up arranging a ride back to Cusco with another tour group that was hiking Humante that day. Once the tour was over, we could just hitch a ride back to Cusco with them, which we did around 2 p.m. in the afternoon, and it cost about 40 soles per person. I was chilled to the bone and had multiple cups of tea, and I later found myself cuddled up to the outdoor kitchen stove to get the only source of heat there was to be found. Finally, we were on the bus, headed back to Cusco.
If you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I hope somebody can learn from our mistakes. If you've ever been in this situation, please leave me a comment below. Like I said earlier, we can't be the only ones. Overall, we were pretty disappointed, and we actually thought we had researched enough and bought the right gear. Our coats we thought were waterproof, Jay's boots we thought were waterproof, and we still got soaked to the core. So one of the biggest recommendations that I would recommend to you if you're going to do the Salkantay Trek is trying to find accommodations where you can dry your clothing. That was a game changer for us. When on the second day, when I opened the door and saw snow, I knew then and there it was over, because there's no way that I was going to risk hypothermia trudging through the snow in the cold with wet gear on, wet boots, wet clothes, wet socks. That wasn't happening. But with that being said, finding heat in homes here in Peru is a luxury. So along the Salkantay Trek, they are limited. So you might pay a higher price to stay in a place that has heat. Now, I know some of you that are watching are thinking, why didn't you bring proper rain gear? Well, that all stemmed with the research that we did. Nothing in our research called for snowy conditions, and we didn't really think about being able to dry our clothes. We thought that it would be warm enough that we'd be able to just hang them and they would dry overnight, but that was not the case. We did come to learn that those were unseasonable temperatures and weather that they were having over the 3 days that we were actually going to do the Salkantay. Just our luck. But I am on a couple of Facebook chat groups, and somebody had posted that on their second day, which would have been our third day, the snow at the Salkantay Pass was waist deep, and they had to cancel that day because the horses couldn't get up over the pass. Too dangerous for footing. You couldn't see up or down. So that just reassured me that we made the right decision. But the good thing is we are still going to Machu Picchu. We're just going to take the train instead. In our next video, we are going to be heading to Aguas Calientes, where our Machu Picchu journey begins. You are not going to want to miss this beautiful little town. So if you want to continue to follow our Peru series, hit the subscribe button, turn on the notification bell, and if you found something helpful in this video, give me a big thumbs up, and we will see you in our next one. Bye guys.